Hi, this is Sabo Say a Lot. Me and the family are gonna have a little discussion.
Yep. I'm Joshua, and that's Peyton. So we're gonna be your special guest today. And what's our topic gonna be?
I don't know.
Okay, our topic is gonna be. I made up the topic and then I just asked her to make myself look better. So our topic is gonna be, what do we think is the way towards being a good person? How do you become enlightened or become a good person? What does it take to get there? What is a good person?
I don't know. I think that's impossible.
You think it's impossible?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, you can act good. You can treat people good. Is that
I
what
think
makes you a
it's
good
the-
person?
I think it's your personal definition of what a good person is.
Yeah,
There's
because
no way of having a universal good or bad.
right, because you can think you're being a good person, and the other person that you interact with on a regular basis think that you're mean, or sometimes you're nice, but then other times you just are not.
Fair enough.
What would you say?
When I ask this question, I think of what does it mean to be good? And I agree there is cultural difference in this, but I think by and large there are more cultural similarities than there are cultural differences. And I also don't think that the cultural differences necessarily matter. To me, I look at the good as being your best estimation of how to be a benefit and work towards benefit of everything, of society,
I
of your
like that
friends, your
definition.
family, whatever.
Right. If you, within yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks, you're doing your best to be as good as you possibly can and as valuable and helpful toward not only others but to the world in general, I would consider that to be good.
I would say the same.
I used to look at it that way, I guess years ago. That's interesting.
What do you think? Hey,
I don't know. I think the word good. I think it's you. I feel like we developed this thinking based off the fact that we have to have a homeostasis of being civilized. Like we can't be ravished or never mind.
no, continue.
We can't. I don't know. I feel like it's too. I don't know. I don't think.
I wish we could start this video over so I could think on that before I respond.
No.
Yeah.
It's better to go. The quicker you're called to action when you talk about something, the better your thoughts are going to be. If
I
you
don't
sit and
know.
ruminate on something, all that does is gives you a way to think about what other people have said and to try to figure a way to put in your own words. It doesn't give you the opportunity
I think that
to.
you can also not know what your actual answer is right off the bat.
I agree
Yeah, because I
with
used to
that.
think that I
Yeah.
was good, but then I found out that people looked at me so differently, and I
Mhm.
thought that I was
Right. I think
good,
it's a structure.
and that I was working in everybody's benefit, but then people didn't see it the same way as I felt that I was doing.
Right. Because you can be an autistic kid and think you're being good, but then the idea of good is torture for somebody else because they hate what you're doing. So
yeah.
I feel like the only way to really be good in this day and age is whatever the most common thing in the room is.
I see what you're saying, and I think a little differently.
It's like a tribalistic construct. I'm sorry, I'm more cynical tonight, I guess.
So I look at it like this. I don't necessarily believe in good in your definition or your definition or anyone's. I believe in the good. I don't give a shit about anyone else's feelings.
Oh, you didn't cuss on the channel, gotta turn it on.
You'll live. It'll be fine.
No.
The algorithm is not that strong.
I don't
It's not
think
gonna
it can
detect.
help. I think
And I
it's-
can't help. It's true.
it's-
But it's not gonna demonetize you for cursing. That's,
You
they
know,
don't care anymore. They
When
stop
you
with
don't cuss in a certain amount of minutes, that's when, like, once that duration is over, you can cuss.
that. Yeah. So
Did y'all
that's
hear that?
so. If you don't cuss within the first minute of the video, or
Yeah.
I
however
don't know, this
long,
video's not going,
Oh, am I getting too dark? I'm sorry.
no, not even that or the cussing, I don't know.
It's just not what you hoped it would be.
I think it is, and I just don't know it.
That's okay.
I
we
think
won't know
that
till the end.
I wanna be, let's go ahead and be real. Then, this is real life, and real life things have to be discussed.
Oh,
And in a
sorry.
real way.
I take things too deep.
No, it's not you.
No, it's
You're
not
being-
you at all.
Don't be.
It's just,
don't worry about it.
if anything, it's me. Trying to be too technical. When people gotta hear the real things and real people with real different opinions, bringing things together, and I think that's important.
That reminds me of a video that I saw about this guy who was a Navy SEAL. He was like not just a Navy SEAL, but he ascended to the top Navy SEAL group, SEAL Team 6, which isn't really a thing. They just call it that, but it's really called Dev Group. He ascended his group, and he's got all these guys who they have wives and kids and whatever, what have you, but all they focus on is Navy SEAL stuff. All they focus on is hardcore training, hardcore fitness, hardcore this, hardcore that. Don't focus on anything else. Don't be distracted. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt him. Be strong, be fit, be capable at all times. And he was struggling because he had all these injuries. He had blown out his hip and kept training. Blew out his both shoulders multiple times, kept training. He had been blown up multiple times, had multiple concussions from explosives and all this stuff. He was having night terrors, thoughts about killing his family, thoughts about killing himself, thoughts about leaving his kids and family behind, and all these things, and panic attacks. And he was looking at all his buddies, and he would say stuff like, "Man, does anyone else ever feel, really dazed and confused for days after we blow up a door and enter a room?"
Mm-hmm.
And they would look at him and they go, "Nope, no, nope, just you, must be just you, not me, I'm fine." And he dealt with this for years until he had all these mental breakdowns. He was sleeping with other people besides his wife. He was cheating. He was doing dangerous activities when he wasn't working, like parachuting multiple times and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he got injured doing all this stuff. He left his relationship, and he finally checked into a clinic, and he found out there were other guys going to the special secret clinic where they use psychedelics to help them recover mentally. And he was like, "You guys are all a bunch of dirty pricks. How could you all just never say anything?"
They were all going, but never told him to come.
Yeah, they had all just kind of started going. It was a thing where some of them had to go, but they kept it a secret because they didn't want anyone else to know.
Oh.
But he's like, "I even asked you, and I asked you, and I asked you, and I asked you. And you were like, no, I'm fine." And I took the step to, as hard as it is for all of you to ask, I even asked, and no one had the guts to say anything. And it destroyed him because he thought he was the only one going through it and the only one feeling his pain and his suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them were going through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And he felt completely alone. He felt insecure, insignificant, and weak, like a failure.
Mm.
And the reason I bring this up is to say that people need to hear the honest truth from others so that they don't feel that way.
Right.
People have to know there are other people that might be thinking what they're thinking. Whether that thought is right or wrong, whether it's perverse, whether it's cruel, whether it's selfish. They need to
Yes.
hear it to know that other people are dealing with it so they can figure out how to reach out and maybe deal with it together.
Exactly.
So with that said, I think the good is about living to your best understanding of what good is. It's not about necessarily being good for your tribe. If you support your tribe's idea of good, then that's what it is. If you don't, it's about what you think is good and committing to always trying to do your best to put good out, to do good.
So your own moral, personal beliefs,
Yeah.
try to stick closely to them. I think that's the best you can do, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
when I think about it, that's the way I think about being positive.
Mhm.
I always try to have a positive outlook, look for the positive in things. Excuse me, so but that's two different subjects. Positive and good are different, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because you could positively kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
Not that kind of positive. Positive to,
Like affecting
Yeah,
someone
to-
positively.
I think a positive is being good.
Do you mean positive as in being optimistic?
I mean, as positive as energy. That's what I think about as good. When I didn't realize it till just now. I think that being positive is good, is the good that I think that is good. That I couldn't figure out how to be good by saying, how do you be good? But I can feel it with being positive. To me, positive is good. It's like
But
energy.
sometimes- But that's what's hard about the word good, because, you know, I feel like you can be going through a horrible time, but that was honestly probably good for you.
That's
You
true.
know, because sometimes we get, especially in this day and age, we get comfortable with conveniences. So when
Mhm.
something is a slight inconvenience, it's not good, but it improves your life somehow, sometimes.
Right.
So
A lot
it's
of
for the
times.
greater good, but it's not good in your perception.
Right, so that's what I'm trying to ask. Are we just talking about our own personal perception of good?
We're just
That's
talking
a-
about good in the best way that we can get it, is how I feel. It's whatever you want to talk about. We're not talking about anything
I'm
specific.
going too deep.
No, you're not.
No, that was
You're
fine.
I'm
fine.
just, I
I
don't
like
know.
that input of looking at it.
I just have personal biases because people have felt like I am bad or like the opposite of good.
Mm-hmm.
But really I felt, in my personal opinion, that I am a good person.
That's
X,
exactly
Y, and Z.
And I
that's what
think
we
a lot
need
of
to
people
hear.
relate to that because that's how I've been.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people can relate to that.
right.
And then when it happens, you think, well, how did they not see me as being good?
Right. It's hard to come off
And I worked
perceived as
hard
good.
to to feel like I'm good.
Right.
Mhm.
And so that's why I hate that word good, because it secretly, there's an underlining accept, like you have to kind of, because for me personally, I've tried to be good to people, but they still perceive it as bad.
Yeah. I think that comes with the issue of you may not be able to perform in the cultural understanding of goodness.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you're not being good.
I think
In my
So what
view,
does it mean to be good?
to be good is whatever you see it to be. The only significance
That's the
that
thing.
cultural good has is it lessens conflict.
Right.
Because if you put let's say Satanists, if you create a community that's half Satanists and half Muslims, they're going to kill each other.
Right.
They will, because their ideals of good are too contradictory.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that either group is necessarily wrong. Because there are a lot of people who argue that the Satanist ideals of only treating people who give respect with respect and giving freely when you're able to, and like trying to help better a community, those are Satanist values. They're good values. You know, there's an argument that you shouldn't do good, or you shouldn't give respect to people who don't deserve it in your eyes, because that creates classism. It's
Right,
like
exactly.
there are people at my job who have been doing it for 30 years,
Mhm.
and I'll have sergeants who are like, I'm not going to tell him he's wrong or correct his behavior because he's been here for 30 years. He must know something to survive this long. But he's a completely inept moron. And Satanists would say, well, screw that guy. He doesn't deserve respect because he's not doing what he needs to do to garner it.
Right.
Whereas other good would say you have to respect your elders, respect people who are putting the time, but that would create a toxic environment because you're letting this guy do all this stuff that's ruining everything for everyone else.
I think the concept of being good or creating the illusion of good is simply creating a code of ethics that specifically pertains to you, and then try to modify it and adjust it to other people when you see fit, while
Yes.
also having proper boundaries. I think that's as good as you can
So
possibly get.
I would like to interject into that. I think that's not, for me, that's not a definition of good. That is an example of good. The example being, you choose what your own good is, but you decide when you see that it's feasible, when you see fit, you decide to alter your perception of good in a way to fit other people into it and do good for them. I don't think that that's good as a whole, but I think the fact that you would take the time and effort to try to be good in a way that suits their cultural or moral beliefs, I think that in
Their
itself is
symptoms
peak
of good.
goodness.
Okay.
That's peak goodness.
That's as good
Now,
as
if I
it
can
possibly
interject-
be.
That's very good.
I was listening and it kind of hit me a little bit back, but I think that goodness or being good is perception. Your own perception and then the perception of other people as they see you.
Right.
And it would be so hard to give a definition of what's good because people come from so many different backgrounds. So to set a limit of what's good, I think that's correct. You would have to set it within yourself to be the best that you can be, and then open up yourself, like you said, for flexibility to fit into a group or to bring to others, be in with others who you're willing to accept their level of good.
Yeah.
Because you can't be with everybody, even if though they think they might be good.
Yeah.
I think being able to blend in and adapt is as good as you can possibly be.
Yeah, to blend and adapt. And to set examples, because sometimes you can change a group of, I don't know what kind of people to call them, vicious people. You can change the group through example sometimes and better the group. I don't even know where to go with it, but I have a lot of what I want to say rolling in my head, but I'm not good enough to get it out.
I get what you're saying. You're saying that by bringing good into the lives of people who are vicious, it's possible they may change and become better people or more good people because
More
of it.
good. Mhm.
Because a lot of times people who are vicious either don't know how to be good or to practice good.
But they think that someone think that they're good.
Yeah, because they lack the understanding of a greater good. I believe that
But it's in the perception of their group of good.
I think that I think deep down, most people who aren't good know that they're not good. I think they are practicing denial, and I think that any group of people with an organized religion or an organized moral code generally are good. Like, if their good is good enough. I think most groups' good is good enough. I think that as human beings, we have very common example, like a very common understanding of what is the good.
I think it's just too complicated. I
It
feel like,
is, that is so complicated.
well, no, I think you can
Well, good.
simplify it and say there is a reason why you need to be quote unquote good, especially in this day and age.